please.
I'm doing that thing again anyway. Hi! We're here today to join the new group, Crafting Together with All Brands. I've got Pip here from PipART, and we're going to be doing a video for you showing you how to cover a journal page and how to do an inside journal spread. So no further ado, what we've done is Pip's actually covered the book. And hi Tracy, and you can see, so these are the digital downloads that we gave you, so you can actually see those, so they're absolutely beautiful. So they're absolutely great. There we go, so absolutely gorgeous. And today's double spread is all about the PipART Stay Wild and Free. So you can see that. That's brilliant. So we're going to show you exactly how to do this inside spread. I'm going to work on that while Pip's going to show you how to do the outside cover. Now Pip's got a couple of other examples she's going to show you while we get everybody joining us. So do you want to show a couple of your examples?
Yeah. Hi everybody, welcome to our first Facebook Live on this channel. Just wanted to show you some other digital papers that we've actually done this. Sorry, I'm going to move this a little bit back. We've got, this is another digital paper that we've done with it. It says the magical dreams right here. And there are some pages that I've just been playing with. There's a nice Christmas spread that I worked with, and then there is another spread which I posted the other day using the Braver and Stronger stamp and the PipART Floral stamp with a stencil. So that was just some of the pages that we've been creating. I'm going to teach you how to make this cover. And this, we love our journals here. This is another journal that we did using the journal through India. And this journal page has the floral abundance in it, which Dali is going to be using today. So without further ado, what we're going to start with is everybody got a set of the two digital papers to download. Now, if you did them in black and white, that's fine too. You can color them in after the fact. And you just need any kind of book, any kind of journal, anything that you have on hand that you're going to cover. And then we have the decoupage type of glue. This is just matte decoupage glue. And then I'm going to be using wax paste to finish this off. So once I've done my portion, Dali will come along and do the inside of her page. So I'm just going to move the computer down so you can actually see what I am doing. Thank you. So here's your book. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to see where I want to place this on my book. It's where it makes sense for me. And then what I'm going to do is just crease it down where that crease is going to go. Because if I don't, then what's going to happen is the page is going to rip right here where that crease is. So we're just going to keep going down here. And this is basically what my front page will look like. So I'm not going to cut it at this point. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in with my decoupage medium, and we are just going to come and cover the book. It's a very simple process. It doesn't matter what color your book is at this point. And I have no certain technique. It's just basically brushing on. It doesn't really matter which order or which way you go in. Now, decoupage medium is a glue and it's also a sealant. So once your book is all done, what you can do is you can come in with the decoupage medium right after, and you can also cut it. You can also cover it, sorry. So you want to apply a very thin layer. You don't want to go in too thick. And there we have that first bit done. So now I'm just going to find where I had my crease and just bring this down. And I'm doing mine pretty flush. Now I could have printed this borderless, but I didn't for some reason, but that doesn't really matter. And as you see, I'm not sticking this flap down at the moment, down the side, the spine of the book. Now this medium dries relatively fast. If you get some creases, it's very forgiving. Just lift it up and take those creases out. Mind you, mixed media texture always looks good. So okay, so that's your first page done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over right now, and I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife. Now at home you just want to make sure this is relatively dry, because otherwise you will tear your pages. But because we're doing this live, I'm just going to show you what I basically do. I'm just going to take my cutting knife here, and I'm just going to take off the sides. Now this is great because this little sheet that I have here, I could use that in my page, and I have used it in my pages on my other book. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come around and cut this side. Now, what I'm not going to do is cut off the piece on the spine, because I'm going to need that in order to complete my cover. Okay, so we have a little corner missing here, so let's go back. Okay, so easy peasy, you have some left over here. So what you should be left with is basically your book cover that looks like this, with a little piece hanging off right there. Now what you're going to do is you are going to come in and you're going to cover the back of your book. And again, it all depends on where you want to put your paper. So this has a little bit of a border on it. Like I said, I could have printed it borderless. This one, I like where it says the new president, and with everything that's going on, I think it's very fitting. As you know, Dali designed these papers, so you can actually read this whole page and see what's on it. So again, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did. I'm going to just score down with my thumb where I would like that page to sit. So just like that. Okay, and then we're going to come back in with our matte decoupage, and we're just going to start gluing this again. Like I said, if you have a black and white printer and you printed these, then you can come in and you can color these in on your own. So again, I'm not going to stick it down on the spine at this point. And again, this dries very, very quickly. Just a very thin layer is required. So I'm going to find again where I had scored it with my hand. Just take that scoring again to make sure it's glued down. And again, if you get any ripples, just so you know, I've actually just printed this on regular photocopy or copy paper that you normally have in your printer. Nothing fancy, no fancy paper here. Now, again, what you're going to do is you're going to come in with your cutting mat, and you are going to cut off the access for this side of your book. So again, if it's a little bit wet, depending on what medium you're using, be careful, because it can pull some of the paper off the page, or off the cover, if you will. And again, I'm not going to remove the spine at this point of the paper. I'm just going to go straight across. And again, you have another wonderful sheet and leftovers that you can work with in your project. So now what we have is we have this page right here, and then we also have this, the front page right here. Okay, so it's already coming along. Now, the next step is your spine. It all depends on how you want your spine to look. For me, I like to do a ripple tear effect, so I can show you, so that it looks like a really nice cohesive piece in the sense that it goes together with both. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to wet the side of my paper down here, because I'm going to actually tear it. I'm not going to be cutting it because I want it to give it a torn look. So I'm just taking a little bit of water and I'm just putting it down the side of my page. And there we go. And then move that out the way. And then as you can see, I'm just going to tear a little piece off as we go along. So that will then fit over on it like this. And then I'm going to do the same with this side of the paper and come in and tear a little bit off. And again, I'm just going to put some water on this because it's copier paper. It's very easy to work with. We just can do little tears down here. Okay, there you have it. Again, lots of nice little scraps to use. So now it's just a matter of how I want this to look. Do I want this to come over or the other to stay under? And there's no right or wrong way. But once you've decided that, the first thing you're going to do is, once again, just come in with your decoupage medium and do a thin layer, not this thick. That was a bit thick. Come in and you're just going to bring down the sheet that you don't mind having slight coverage. Put that down. You can see this medium is really nice to work with. And then just come in on the rest of it, which you're going to use as your overlap on it now. And then we're just going to bring that flap over too. Make sure it's stuck down properly. And then there you have your flap done on it right here. So again, that's very seamless. And then what you're going to do, make sure it's nice and ready to go. What you're going to do is you're just going to, and I don't have to do all of this today in the interest of time, but if you come in and do a thin layer, this will dry transparent over your book with the matte decoupage medium. What will happen is that you'll protect your book, coffee stains, water stains, and when you're working in your book. So you're going to actually end up doing that all over your book. This dries really quick. As you can see, it is already dry to the touch. So that's good. So I will finish that part off later. You're just basically going to go with the same decoupage that you stuck down the paper with to just go over your book. And at this time, if you have any bubbles or any ripples, put some of the decoupage matte medium on it and just take the ball of your finger and rub it over, and this will massage out any bubbles or ripples you have. Now, let's just imagine that I've gone and covered everything with the decoupage matte medium, which, like I said, dries very fast. It's already dry. And I like to come in and just finish off my book using some wax paste. In this case, I'm going to go with gold. You need very little. And all you're going to do is you're just going to come in and finish the sides like this. and I'll show you what that looks like. And then there you have this gold look all around your book. And then obviously this dark part here I will color in. But basically that's all you're doing. You're just going to go around and color the rest of your book. But that's it for me. So I will just hold this up and show you what the cover looks like once it's all done. So this is what we've already created today. Any lumps or anything you have in it, I will take out as I go along with the decoupage medium over top. So there you have it. I will let Dali come back and take over. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it and it gives you some inspiration to do some of your own journal covers. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Pip. So that was the one that we had done, Pip had done earlier. So this has all been done and completed, and you can see we've got these beautiful gold edges on it. There's no bubbles, it's really nice and smooth, it's got a nice cover over it, so it will be protected. Now I'm going to start on the next layer. I want to thank everybody who's joined us. I hope you're really enjoying this. So this is the page I'm going to work with and create. Now anybody who has just joined or has been following and would like to download these papers, I'm sure Tracy, these will be available free of charge to you from the Crafting Together with All Brands site from Facebook. So don't forget to join the group, don't forget to download, and there's some really lovely digital papers there for you to have a play with. So I'm going to start the book. So what I've done is I've just used an old reading book, and I've already pasted 2 pages together with just some gesso or primer. Now you can use either of those and see which ones you like. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is we have to make, what I've done is I've actually printed 2 sheets. So Pip used 1 sheet and I'm using the 2nd sheet. So I've just printed that and I'm going to be using that to do my double page spread. The other thing I've done is I've also got the PipART rice paper, which is Stay Wild and Free. So I'm going to be using her. She's actually one of my favourites. I did another page with her previously, as you can see. So slightly different colours, really lovely, and actually goes really well with the journal through India. So as you can see, very much matchy-matchy. So we've got quite a lot of inspiration there. A lot of these have been posted, so you'll be able to see that. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, the whole idea of when you're doing these books, so let me just talk you through this page, is to find some focal points. So what I've done is, I found the face to be the focal point on my left-hand side, and I've used the flower with the houses to be the focal point on the right hand side. So that just gives you some idea of how I've sort of set out this page. Now you don't have to use these colours, you don't have to use these papers, but this is just an idea for you to have a look. So let's get started. So the first thing I do is I choose the colours I'm going to go with. So the colours I've actually chosen are the Pentart range I'm using, is the beautiful olive green and the metallic orange, plus some iridescent glitter. So those are my first 3 items, and then I've finished off with some of this beautiful turquoise creamy acrylic. You can use a matte, you can use any products that you've got at home. These are just the products that I've used to create this page. So what I do is, it's very, very random. So I'm going to get started and I'm going to show you. So let me just move my computer down so that we can see exactly where we are. I think that's probably about right. So what I've got here is I'm going to start taking the acrylics. So I'm going to use the orange and the green. And what I'm going to do is randomly, I'm going to just basically take the colours. There's no right or wrong. So what we're doing is we're just randomly taking these colours. And this is what the beauty of journaling I do love, is that you can take an old book, you can take an old notebook, you can take some of your children's books, and all you do is you just come in and we're just randomly going to take and colour these pages. So as you can see, that's all I'm doing with the green. And again, you can use any colours. I've just chosen them to match the papers that we gave you to download. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the orange, and again I'm just going to take that in. You can come back with these colours if you feel there's spaces where you've done less or more. So that's what we're going to do. So again, take a little bit of the orange and bring that in. Okay, so now what we have is we have a page which has just 2 acrylic paints on it, but it gives you this beautiful effect. There you go, so you can see that very clearly there. There we go. So what we've got is this beautiful spread here. Now the next thing I did was I took the actual paper, and I don't usually do this, but I actually cut around the image I wanted. The best thing to do with any rice paper is to see where you want to position it. So I sort of want her sort of positioned here, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to position her roughly there. So what I did was I took my scissors on this occasion, and you can use a wet brush, and I just went in and I did a rough fussy cut. So I'm just cutting around. The beauty of this paper is it's actually got a really nice outline that you can cut around. And obviously, depending on your book page size, it can vary. So all I'm doing is I'm just coming in and I'm just taking. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because this rice paper is translucent. So let me just cut that away, and you can use the other bit for later. Is that it won't matter too much because it will just blend in with your page. But I'm going to take away quickly some of these. So if you've got other rice papers or other items, or if you just want to use the papers to decoupage. So I'm going to take this bit of flower out because I'm going to put this on the other page. So there we go. And we're just going to go round this bit here. So you can see I'm not doing it perfectly. It is fussy cutting. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's do a bit more around here. And obviously at home, if you want to be particular or you want to have a certain look, you can do a different, more jagged look, or you can do a slightly different look. What I don't want is I don't want lots of sharp corners. So if you've got any sharp corners, then I would get rid of those because you don't really want those in your image. So very quickly, let's just go through all of this, and let me just put this through and show you exactly what that looks like. So there we go. So you can see there that's already done. Really simple, not difficult to do. Now the next stage I'm going to show you is how I'm going to put that in. So you can see she's just there on my book. Can you see that? Oops, I'm a bit further away now. She's just there in my book, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So the next step to do is just to take the image and the same decoupage medium that Pip used. I don't know where she's put it. Oh, let me have a look. Let me go and grab some. So I've got some here. So I'm going to use the same matte medium to actually stick the girl in with. So 1 second. So let me just wipe the brush because we don't want to contaminate everything, which I tend to do. Right, so all I'm going to do is first always put the matte medium onto your book or onto any substrate that you're using. Okay, that's the first just like Pip did on the front cover, exactly the same. So there we go. So you just put that on there. Oh, it looks like I've got one of our hair stuck in here. Let's just remove that. There we go. So then, very forgiving, take your, and just put that into the middle a bit, take your face and position her where you want to put her. So the next thing is, let me just put a little bit more, as Pip said, this dries really, really quickly, especially under the lights. There we go. So now what we're doing is we're just going to go over the top and just adhere her. Now, if there's anywhere you've left out underneath or anything like that and you want to go in again, just on the edges, then just go in. It's very, very forgiving rice paper, so you can just do that. So wherever you've not got any, you just want to put a little bit more down. So that's what we're doing here on this bit. So she's going to be stuck down, and what you can see now is some of that colour I put underneath is popping through. So there you go. So let's just put a little bit more, and let's just stick this down. So I'm just doing this step by step so that you can actually rewind and watch this. So you can do this in your own time, but I wanted to do it in real time rather than do it and then for you not to be able to follow maybe at a later stage. So there we go. So a little bit more under the face here because we haven't gone right to the bottom. There we go. So very, very easy to adhere, doesn't tear, and that's the beauty of the rice papers, is that you get this really lovely, lovely translucent effect. And you can go in, you can lift them. If you've missed a bit, you can go in. And again, do the same pushing technique like Pip explained on the front cover, of just taking those little bits of, if you've got any air bubbles or anything like that, then that will all come out. So, and that's the Stay Wild and Free rice paper stuck down for you. So that's the first stage of our page. There we go. So there she is. There we are. And she's looking absolutely beautiful. So the next stage is to actually get all of your, we'll let that dry naturally, is to get, put my brush into water, is to get the flowers that you actually want from your page. So I chose 2 flowers and I chose some of the elements from there. So you'll still have paper left. So what I did was, again, fussy cut around the flowers. So I know I want one of these. And like Pip said, there's lots of nice, interesting facts on the back of these. So you can have a look at those. And again, I'm going to leave this edge because I want an edge on it to go on the side of my page. And then what I'm doing is I'm just coming in, I'm just going to fussy cut around those so that you've got this really beautiful image that you can use. Every time you create a page, it will be different, even if you use the same elements. So it never comes out quite the same. So all I'm doing, fussy cutting, I quite like the edges of the writing still on the edges, and just going in, fussy cutting that way for you. There we go. And you can come in and you can cut more away, you can cut less away. It really is up to yourselves how you want to do that. Okay, so that's one part. Now this part is going to be going on my book just here. So can you see that now? So that's just going to go there. So that's where that bit's going. The next bit I want to cut out is this big orange flower, which is in the centre of the papers. And again, I'm just going to fussy cut that. No perfection, and I'm going to actually cut through it because I just want the flower bits, because these flowers are going to sort of sit and blend in with her face, so that we've got that. So there we go. So we're just going to fussy cut around those as well. And obviously, if you wanted to, you could decoupage these all up. You could print a lot of these papers off. You could do lots of different things. I mean, that's the beauty of digital papers, is that you can keep going at it. So one of the reasons I designed these papers is so that you have the beauty of being able to print them onto lots of different mediums. So you could have printed this onto rice paper and done that. So just going to cut a little bit through there, so we've got a little bit more definition. So just again, very, very fussy cutting, nothing too much. I'm going to take that little bit of leaf out on mine. So there we go. So that's that done. So that's where I've got to with that. I'm also going to take a little bit of this leaf as well. So with this leaf, what I did was I created the little houses. So what I'm going to do is, again, fussy cut that through. This is the boring bit, as most people would say. But when we start to put this all together, it'll all come clear to you of how that looks. Okay, there we go. So I'm actually going to snip that in half, and you'll see why in a minute. So what we've got here is we've got a few little bits there. There we go. So the next stage, I've got lots of little papers here now. The next stage is to find anything else that you want to cut away from this. So what I'm going to do is I want to just show you in the book actually before I do it. I've decided that I quite like the idea of having some little houses at the bottom. So what I've done is, remember the leaves I talked about? I just adhered them to some elements here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut two more little bits out to show you how I did the houses. So what I did was I took a little bit of this element here because I really liked it. And that's going to become one of our houses. Just cut it across. Okay. Now the best way I find to create little houses is to just fold this in half and keep the crease away from you and do your point for your house at a diagonal angle. And then what you get is you get this beautiful point of a house. So that's one of our houses. So I'm going to just cut another bit and do another slightly smaller house. So I'm not, and then again, how I showed you, fold it, crease it slightly, and then a diagonal cut. And that will create your little houses for you. So we've got another house. And so I might take a little slimmer house. You might want another image and another one. So it really is up to you how you want to do these. So I'm going to take a little bit of this orange because I quite like the orange here. And again, you can make them, so if you want to make them short or tall, or so we've got all of these here. So we've got these little houses going on. So I'm going to cut the top of this one. Again, fold, crease, and take it away. And what I'm going to do is slightly cut the bottom off that. I might make that a little bit slimmer because I want them all to be different. I don't want them all to be the same. So we've got that one, and then I've still got loads of paper left over. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut away another little house here, and then we're going to put that leaf onto it. That's a nice little one there. And we can actually add a little bit of leaf to it if we want to. So there we go. So all different shapes, all different sizes. And then what I can do is take a little bit of this leaf and take a little bit of that. So I can put that onto there to add some image to it. I can take this little bit of leaf and add a little bit more to this little house. So you've got the little 4 houses there as well. So the next thing for me to do is I'm going to just stick these little leaves onto, again with the matte medium, I'm going to stick these little leaves on. So if you just hold on one second while I dry my brush, and all I'm going to do is take the little houses, stick the little leaves on. There we go. And just, again, we've done this on copier paper, very easy. Now, if you don't have a colour printer, you can always print onto the background you've made, onto a reading page. You can also just stress the papers. Maybe you've got watercolours and you want to use that as your background. So there's lots of other ways of doing it. So you don't always have to have a colour printer to be able to do this. So you could print black and white onto scrapbook paper if you wanted to. So here we go. So these are my little houses which I'm building up. So those were the 2 that I wanted images on. Right, the next stage is that lovely iridescent that I showed you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to iridescent a few of these items because I just want a bit of pop of glitter into each of these. So let's show you how I'm going to do that. So very easy. You can actually use a palette knife to do the glitter paste, or you can use a brush. So it's up to you, a sponge, a brush. And what I'm going to do is I want to create a little bit of sparkle on all of these pieces. So all I'm doing is creating a little bit of sparkle. So we all need a little bit of sparkle in our lives. So this is a really nice way to do it. And this way, it doesn't take away from your images. It keeps your images. It also gives them a really nice finish. So then when you're throwing other products on them, you can do that. So again, let's go over the top of all of our images. So it's all coming together. So this is all our elements that we want to stick down. So while these dry, I'm going to start stamping a few of my elements. One is from the Floral Abundance stamp, which is a PipART stamp. And that one's got lots of elements, but I'm just going to use the butterfly from there today. But I know Pip showed you a page where we had done it using the whole spread. Okay, so that's all I think that's all the glitter I sort of want on my book. I'm just having a quick nosy because I did it a while back. There we go. So I'm going to let those elements dry. Move everything off my page. I'll just let those dry over here a little bit. So the next stage for me is to stamp this beautiful butterfly. This comes from the Floral Abundance range. So you can see lots and lots of different elements, and I know Pip did a lovely page, there we go, with using those Floral Abundance stamps there. So you can see you can create a totally different page using the stamps if you want to use the papers. So what I'm going to do is I've ripped a page out of the book already to be able to stamp this one butterfly. So I'm just going to use the Versafine. And I'm not even going to put it on a block or anything. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to just take it. It's just a rough image I want. So let's just stamp that. So once that's stamped, and there we go. So look how beautifully, without even a block, how beautifully that has stamped. And it's such a beautiful image. Okay, so once I've done that, what I want to do is I've just got some sentiment stamps, and I'm just going to go, and again from the same book, I've just teared a piece of paper out. I'm going to go and stamp some of these. So here we go. So I'm just going to do, I've got a word journey there. I've got a bit of dream going on. Doesn't matter what stamps you've got. If you want to actually print something off, print something off. If you don't want to put anything, don't worry. So these are just some ideas I want to give you of how you can do it. So then what I do is I just come in, and I don't want these to be perfect. So I just come in and I just tear away. Okay, so all I don't want is, like I said, is I don't want any sharp edges. So we've got one butterfly going on, and then I'm going to do the same with the words. So here we go. And there we go. So okay, so that's a little bit of word of hope there. And then we do the same with the dream. And again, all we're doing is we're just sticking these down, and we're just creating a lovely, lovely effect. So we've got some really nice, I love working on oops, I've pulled my little dream off there. I'll stick that back on. While I was chatting away and looking the other way. And what I've got here is the words, which you could use any words, and there's no rights and wrong in mixed media. So let me tell you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sticking some of these elements down. Okay, so let me start to stick those down. Thank you. My mum's just made tea for us, so we're going to I'm going to grab my cup of tea, and take that. So thank you, Mum. And you're welcome. So that's lovely. So what I'm going to do is now just try and position this on the page how you want it. So each time you do this, it will be different. So what I'm doing is I'm just positioning this on my book. I hope you can see that. Oops. And my little houses and so forth. So that will all start to come along there. So let me start sticking some of this down. Here we go. Get my brush again. And let's have a go at this. Right, so I don't want to cover her totally, so I'm going to tear a little bit of her from there, do it slightly different to the other one. So there we go. So I've just torn a little bit. I'm going to use the other bit somewhere else, so it's a little bit different to the other page I created. So there we go. So that's going to sit down here. And it's all about how you're feeling, how you want to create this page. So there's no rights and wrongs, again, like I said, in mixed media. So we're going to start building this up. And then to pull all this together, I'm going to show you how to do that next. So let's maybe we'll put a little bit of that up here this time. There we go. So it really does, depends on what you want to do. And once you've started getting all the elements in, you'll be able to see how well this all works together. Oops, pushing that away. So there we go. And then just keep going in with your mediums and just sticking that down. Because obviously this has got a really nice coat on it now. And that's working really, really well. Now we want to put this one here because we really like the idea of this one here. I might put that a little bit lower than I have on the other page. So let's stick this all down as well. There we go. And this is how it all starts to come together. So for me, it's really about having a composition on either page of how it is going to come together. So a focal point on each page. So there's a girl, flowers on the other page, some sentiments. So it's just a matter of it coming down. Don't worry about the matte medium, it dries clear. So that's the other beauty of it. And it gives you a really nice coverage. So I just don't worry about it. I do love using these products. They're easy to use. They're all water-based, so I find that's very easy, especially if you're doing projects with the children. And now I'm going to come in with my house. So I'm going to actually start with the larger one here, as there's more room here. I haven't moved myself out, not yet. So that's all really brilliant. So there we go. Let me just push some of this back in. And I think that's all perfect there. So there's a little house, another little house coming up here. So you don't have to use all of them if you've done them and you think, oh, I've got too many houses going on here, so you don't have to do that. I just love this effect. I'm going to put a little one here. So it's really, really nice. And it's just your little story page, really, of how you're feeling. So you can see, there we go. So you've got that. And then we're going to stick this, I'm actually going to leave the 3 actually. I'm going to leave it like that. I quite like it like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the butterfly and I'm going to stick it up at the top. I'm not going to colour it this time. I'm going to actually leave it because I quite like the pop of white in there, but I'm going to go over it with all the other paints. So it will look really, really nice. Now you could have stamped this directly onto the book. What I find when I stamp directly is sometimes you don't get the image you're looking for. So I tend to do it like this, but you can do it either way. And all I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to put the word hope down this corner because I've got space there and I can do that. And what I'm going to do is, because my hope is a little bit big and I don't want to cover my little house, is I'm going to tear away that little bit of butterfly, but I will use that butterfly and I'm going to put the word hope just there. There we go. So that's just sitting in there. Then we've got the word dream, which I managed to pull the little M off, and I'm going to fix that in a minute. I'll just tear that a little bit as well. I love this, the fact that you can print onto book pages, you can use your books, recycle them and keep them. It's a really lovely feeling. So let's put the word dream in here. There we go. And that little bit of M I lost earlier, there we are, he's back in again. There we go. So he's looking absolutely beautiful. Now he's all dreamed out. And then I'm going to put the journey. I think I might put the journey on this page over here. Just thinking where I want to put him. I think here. I think it's a little bit different. And I think it's her journey. There we go. So once we've done that, you've got all your elements stuck down. So anybody who's joined us, thank you for joining us. And I don't think I'll need another house. So this is where we've actually got to so far. So what I've done, I did the background in the green, and I did it in the orange. Then I stuck down all the elements, and I used the iridescent glitter paste to add a bit of sparkle to all my elements. So that's where we've actually got to now. Now the next stage, I'll just show you if anybody who's just joined us hasn't seen. So the next stage is how we bring all of that together. Okay, so what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start adding a little bit more colour over the top to bring all that together. Okay, I'm adding some white and black pen. That's which makes it pop as well. So I'm going to give this a quick dry. So if you want to get your cup of tea or anything, I'm just going to give this a very, very quick dry. There we go. So let me just plug that in and get myself drying. I don't know if I'm going to be able to plug that in. I can just let it go. There we go. So that's all good. So we're just going to dry this side of the page because I've just stuck all these elements first. I've stuck these down earlier. Let it dry. There we go. So the next step is just to bring all of this together. And the matte medium dries quickly, so it's really a beauty. So what you start doing now is you get yourself a dry brush and you start to bring all those colours back in again. And that's where it all comes together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to outline very quickly some of these images for you, just to show you. I mean, you've seen the finished image, but this is the technique that we're going to use. So that's all good. So we're just going through this and we're just highlighting it. So that's really, really all we're doing. Just using an inexpensive ball pen. So it's all really, really good. So there we go. And there we go. So all really good. And then once you've done that, you can go in with a white marker. You can do it to all of them. Now on the houses, this is quite important. So what I did the outline on all the houses, just very roughly. There's no precision here. So just go over the triangle a bit and then down the sides. And then what I do is where the like a triangular shape, just go back in with your black pen and that will create your roof lines. And again, if you want to put some little windows in, just create some little windows. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing and it's all there. a little door down here. So it really is your little project, however you want to create this. There we go. Again, do some black outlines on any of your other elements that you want to do, and it's all just bringing it all back in again of how you want that to look. There's no rights and wrongs, so you can see how that's all becoming alive already. And again, I'll probably do the same with these bits at the bottom, and you can just see that it's just so beautiful, and it's all coming to life just with a little bit of popping of colours, a little bit of, so can you see now already that's come to another level. There we go. So then what I'm going to do is very quickly take the white pen around the edges and just take that in, and again we're going to create this really beautiful sort of edge on it. Obviously at home, please take your time, and I don't want to rush it, but I also don't want to keep you forever. So I'm going to show you the next step. There we go. And again with all the houses, all the elements, and you can go back in once it's all dry, go back in again, have a little bit of play and just break that all down. You can come in here and add images, add elements to that as well. So you could do quite a lot there. So that's where we've got to with that element. Now let's bring that dry brushing I just spoke about. So what we want to do is we want to bring some of that colour back over the top. And also what we do is I'm just going to grab myself a primer, and I can just do that. And we're going to dry brush. I'm going to dry brush some primer on. If I can, oh, I can't open this one. I'll have to go grab another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it onto my sheet, some of the brush, and what I'm going to start to do is just bring this in. Thank you. I'm just going to start to bring this in and go over the top. Not too much, because we don't want to distract from what we've just created. So can you see how that's already breaking down some of that white? So it's all about taking a dry brush and bringing that in, and that's how that creates, that blends all of that in without you actually losing it. So again, take a little bit of your orange, do the dry brushing again, and again bring in some of that. I don't want too much because I don't want it to take away from my images. There's bits that you want to add more colour to, then add more colour to it. There's bits that you don't want to add more colour to, then obviously you can always knock them back with a primer. So I'm quite happy with what the colours I've created on that. So you now can see where we've got to with that. And the colours look absolutely beautiful. So that was quite easy to do, because a lot of people say to me, well, how do you start to bring it back in again? Well, that's how I do it. Obviously, everybody does it differently. Now, the next stage is I wanted another pop of colour. So the pop of colour I chose was this beautiful turquoise blue. Random. It was just what really I felt that would be good. I've used a creamy. You can use any matte, but I do find the creamies work really well to do edges. So all I want to do is I want to bring that colour in just to pop the edges. Yeah. So all we're doing is just bringing that in. And again, you can do it's however you want. If it's something you want to do more of, then do more of. Something you want to do less of, then do obviously less. If you don't want this colour, then you could just edge it with some distress inks. So, but I just like the way this works. And then I'm just taking this, and again you could put a little bit into your book just so that you haven't just got it on the edges. So what I'm doing is I'm just bringing it in, not too much, because there you go. So again, and then again you can keep building this up to where you want it to be. So I'm just putting a bit of blue here, maybe a little bit of blue into my butterfly. There we go. So you can see exactly how that works. So you're just putting a little bit of colour. So can you see how that's coming together now? There we go. So the next step would be is to take a little bit of your white and take that in, and then start to take in, sort of do the middles of your flowers. You've got all of those going on, so you're just taking your white pen and, you know, build in anything that you want to, that you feel needs a little bit of white in it. So it does, there's no perfect, you know, right or wrong. And as you can see already, by doing that, we're lifting some of the elements out already, like as you can see on the flowers. We've already done that bit on the butterfly. So you can see how that's already working. The next thing I do is I take a little bit of water, and what I want to do is I want to create some splashes on this as well. So all I'm doing is diluting that blue down, which I absolutely love, and I'm going to create some splashes. Okay, so not too many, just enough to break that page up a little bit further. Now you could come in with the orange splashes and the green splashes on top, which I have done, and you could darken this, you could lighten it with some primer like I talked about. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to let that dry a little bit, but at the same time while that's drying, I've got three beautiful 3D pens here. I'm using an orange, and it's called Floral Green, and I'm using the black, and they're the Pentart 3D pens, but they are absolutely brilliant. Because I've got those colours, what I then did, and I'll quickly start to show you, what I did was I took those colours and I took wherever the images were, I'll show you just on this page, and what I've started to do was I picked up all the dots and I went in with these two colours. So hopefully you can see, and I'll obviously carry on with this, and I will put a picture up once I've totally completed it, but that's the gist of it. So basically prime a couple of pages in your book page, start to add a couple of acrylic paints, add some images, and voila, you have a spread. So you can see the 3D pens will remain like that. So I'll show you the spread that we had earlier. I know you've got lots of pictures on the website. So that's basically with more splashes with the black. I'll show you how the black works as well, because the black is absolutely beautiful. So what I tend to do with the black is I tend to do squiggles. So I just love that look, because I think it really does bring it in. So you can see I've got these little squiggles going on now. So again, just filling in those gaps where you see a little bit of a gap, you might want to put a little bit of a squiggle. And that is your page. So Pip and I hope that you both enjoyed, Pip and I hope that you all enjoyed watching this and that you've actually took some inspiration from it. Pip, do you want to join me to say goodbye? Let me put this up. So hopefully you liked this. So let's go back to, ooh, where's your book gone?
It's underneath her video one right there.
Oh, here it is. We pushed it right the way over here. There we go. So this is, Pip started the book cover, as you all know. There we go. And we did have a finished one, didn't we? Oh yeah, she finished mine actually. There you go. So that was the finished version of it. So she did a great job on that. And then, whoops, I'm going to put my fingers in the blue paint. And that's the image we've actually created today. So I'm going to finish that off a little bit, and Pip's going to finish the cover of her book off a little bit. And we hope you enjoyed watching. So I want to thank everybody who joined us. I know a lot of new people that probably don't know us joined us. So thank you very much, and thank you to Tracy for giving us the opportunity to do this.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye for now. Bye.
Bye.